Hey everyone, it's Jack here, TalkNorwichCity. Welcome back to another video. A beautiful sunny day here in Norfolk. Probably the warmest day of the year, not a cloud in the sky. So what better thing to do than sit in my study and dissect a 2-0 defeat away at Oxford United on the opening day of the Championship season. I genuinely couldn't think of a better way to spend my Sunday. Look, I'm back home. I've had 24 hours now to let the dust settle and just think about what on earth we witnessed at the Kassam Stadium yesterday. You may or may not have seen my video pretty much straight after the game. We'd kind of driven back and I'd had a little bit of time to sit on it, but feelings were still very raw and I think it's always nice to come back on the Sunday having spoke to people and listened to people and read reports and listened to the Pinken and Radio Norfolk, etc., and just try and formulate all of those opinions and come up with your own. And the overriding sense for me is one of real overwhelming. It's an overwhelming sensation, I think. I knew that this was going to be a big rebuild job, and I knew that it was going to be a transition season. But what I saw and what we all saw at the Kassam yesterday just, kicked me in the face and just said, "Yeah, you're so far off it, so far off it," and that's concerning. Look, I'm still excited about what's ahead for this Norwich side, and Johannes Toft-Torup. I thought he handled an incredibly difficult opening day really well. Came up to the fans and didn't shy away. And to be fair, none of the players did either. I didn't know Henny would be straight down the tunnel, but no, everyone was over and staring us fans in the white of the eyes. And it was fairly hostile in the away end. And I'm not really going to pass opinion on that because if you're a match paying fan, and even if you're not a match paying fan, you have your right to share your feelings. And I get why people are angry or frustrated when they've been promised a different feel and look after 3 years of real disappointment, to actually be served up a display. And I think this was a real concern for me as well, to be served up a display that was basically identical to last season. And as I said in yesterday's video, part of those reasons are completely out of Johannes Torup's. He couldn't make it wasn't his fault that Cordoba's injured and Ben Cressine is injured, and he's lost his best midfielder and his right winger has pulled out on game day. Like, a lot of those decisions aren't his fault, and I hope that starting Grant Hanley and Shane Duffy, he may look back at that and regret it slightly, but he needs to learn lessons, and we're all going to make mistakes on this process. So hopefully he learns from it. But I didn't watch Norwich away from home as much as I would have liked last season, or certainly wasn't at the games as much as I would have liked. But I went to 5 or 6 and didn't see Norwich win away from home last season, and it was the exact same feeling yesterday. It was incredibly disjointed. There was no pattern of play. There was no identity. It looked like 11 players that had just been thrown together, and fairly average players at that, thrown together and just gone, try and do something. And there wasn't a single kind of flowing attack, really. There was a chance, I think, where Edith threw one into the box and Stacey was on the end of it. It was a good block from the defender. That was a okay move, but it was more on the counter, and Oxford were exposed. You can kind of forgive that in the early stages if you're really solid in possession and you look well drilled and you're not giving up chances. But we weren't solid out of possession. There was individual mistakes. If you bundle all of that together, you get an outcome like we had yesterday. And Oxford didn't really have to show any masses of quality. They were drilled, they were energetic. But every Championship side is that, particularly a side that's just come up into the Championship for the first time in 26 years. Good manager, good squad of players. That is the absolute bare minimum. Like, the fans were chuffed with their performance, and they should be. And it was a great win for them. And I think they'll be just fine this season. I'll put that out there in the Championship. But, it was a 7 out of 10 performance. It was their probable bare minimum of performance. And we've not even come close. Genuinely not come close to Oxford. It could have been 3 or 4 if it wasn't for some poor finishing and some last-ditch blocks. So, really concerning. And the other overriding sense of feeling is incredible disappointment from Jonny Rowe. Jonny Rowe has seriously let himself down, and I didn't expect it from him. I really didn't expect it from him. This is a man who's been nurtured and helped and given opportunity through this Norwich City system, right the way through the youth ranks into the first team. And I think it's also worth adding, this is a man that hasn't scored since January. He contributed basically nothing on the second half of last season. And granted, there was an injury in there, so take that with a pinch of salt. But it's not as if Jonny Rowe's just come off the back of a 30-goal season and Man United and Liverpool and City are in for him. He's had an okay championship season. He's had some brilliant moments. But he's far from the complete package. And this puts Norwich in a really, really difficult situation now, because if this transfer was basically a signed deal and someone had come in, met the valuation, and it was just a case of putting a signature on paper, of course, don't involve him. But there's been one bid, and one bid that's deemed incredibly unsatisfactory from Norwich City, from Marseille. Leeds, at time of recording, are yet to put a bid in. And now they're looking at this situation going, well, Rose ruled himself out of a game, so he doesn't want to be there. Norwich have got a player on their hands that now all of the fans dislike. We can go in and keep lowballing. And that is not a good situation for the football club to be in. They want to be in the driving seat, and up until yesterday, they were in the driving seat. And now I don't think they are. They are in a situation caused by Jonny Rowe and his representatives that has really, really muddied the water. And I just don't understand why. He was in the starting 11 plans throughout the week. Norwich and Johannes Hothorp and his coaching staff had planned for Jonny Rowe to be starting that game. He travelled with the squad to Oxford and then declares the morning of the game that he doesn't want to be involved. That is absolutely repulsive professionalism. And I hope he comes out and apologises. I hope that Norwich City, really, really do punish him for what was just an appalling display of loyalty to the football club that's nurtured him, to the football club that's given him his Premier League debut, his Championship debut, to the football club that's put him on the map. So that was incredibly disappointing. Was it that wasn't the reason we lost, and there's far more kind of system-wide things that need to be faced here. On the flip side, I don't think, the starting 11 is certainly going to be different in a month's time, and I think August might be a little bit of a rough patch. We're still making transfers, we've still got outgoings that are yet to be complete. You had, Jonny Rowe is the obvious one. You had Adam Eder on the pitch that, to be fair to him, put in a shift and was probably one of the best players when he came on the pitch, but doesn't want to be here. So that is another transfer that could happen, and you've probably got a couple of others in there that probably know that their future is away from Norwich. So there could well be 6 or 7 different faces in that starting 11 come middle of September. You've obviously got Ben Gracino, I think would have started if he wasn't injured. You've got Jose Cordoba, who will start if fit. You've got Forson, who will start when up to kind of match readiness. So there are plenty of players in there that Johannes Hothorp would like to start that he didn't have the opportunity to. So there will be change, and that will be a good thing. Brad Hills, Kamara, etc. And I think Tuesday presents a really good opportunity to kind of tinker and experiment with a slightly lower risk profile than a league game. But if nothing else, yesterday proved that this is a serious job on Johannes Hothorp's hands and also on the players' hands. Like, we can't be pinning this solely on the manager. Was the system different to last season? No, not really. It's going to take time. Was there an identity about Norwich? No, there wasn't. Were there patterns of play throughout the 90 minutes? No, not at all. So that kind of comes from a coaching perspective. But just little things like effort, individual errors, that's down to the players. Johannes Hothorp can't do anything about Grant Hanley forgetting how to head a football temporarily. And it's little things like that don't help the cause. If we keep that at 0-0 until half-time, maybe you've got a chance of picking up something. But to give away a really sloppy goal and then a sloppy one in the second half, it's game over at that stage. And championship teams, every single team in this division will punish you for those types of errors. So it was incredibly disappointing. Norwich have serious work. There still needs to be work done in the transfer window. Incredibly disappointed with Jonny Rowe. And to be honest, I don't know how this saga ends. It probably ends with him being bought by a Marseille or a Leeds or maybe someone else for a reduced fee. And that will be a really sad way to finish. This wasn't how the chapter was meant to end for Jonny Rowe. The chapter was meant to end if he was sold at a decent price and he goes with the love and well wishes of Norwich City fans. Actually, he's probably going to go for under market value. And, well, I'm not going to repeat what the chants were in the away end yesterday, but you can probably use your imagination to work out that it certainly wasn't a super Jonny Rowe chant, that's for sure. So, yeah, really disappointing opening day. Still upbeat and still positive for the season ahead, but I think we're all going to have to tell ourselves, just to manage expectations and to manage our own emotions here, that this is a big fix and things need to happen quickly and performances need to improve, and I think they will. The more time that he has to coach his side and the more time that these new players have to bed in and the more time we've got to offload players that don't maybe want to be here. But we're going to have to sharpen up real quick, otherwise you get yourself in a fairly perilous position, and that certainly we don't want to happen. We don't want to be scrapping our way out of a relegation scrap. I don't think we will, but we need to turn this round quick. We need to buck our ideas up quickly, otherwise that could quite easily happen. We've seen it before with other teams, and we'll see it again. And we don't want Norwich to be a case study of how not to go through a transition season. So, an overwhelming sense of disappointment and sadness on the opening day, but a tinge of optimism still lies ahead. I think there's still so much to be done with this squad, and granted, we've not got too long. We've got 3 weeks essentially until the transfer window shuts, but I think Johannes Hofdorp won't be getting too much sleep in these next few weeks as he tries to fine-tune this squad of players, and that's not an easy task. We're certainly not the only ones in the Championship trying to find their way and find our place, but it's a big challenge ahead, and boy, it's going to be an interesting season. Let me know what you thought of the match. Have you calmed down a little bit? I mean, what would you do for Tuesday night against Stevenage? For me, I would be playing all of these players that need game time. I'd get Forsyth in, I'd get Brad Hills in, I'd get Kamara in. I wouldn't get Jonny Rowe in. And it's an opportunity to see a system against a slightly lesser team in Stevenage, but that will still turn up and probably fancy their chances. And hopefully that will give us some form of idea and hope for the next few games on the horizon. Blackburn and Sheffield United, both of which got off to really good starts in the Championship, so aren't going to be easy games. Other than that, all is well. Thanks for watching, everyone. Enjoy your Sunday. Go get out in the sun, and I'll speak to you all very soon. Bye-bye.